911 emergency, dispatch 8240.
Hello?
911.
Synagogue. There is shots here. There is a guy coming with a shotgun and start shooting.
Okay.
April 27th, 2019, it was the last day of Passover, and the Chabad of Poway was offering the regular religious services. About 10:30 in the morning, the defendant drove up in his family Honda Civic and parked it across the street from the Chabad of Poway. There were over 50 people who had already arrived for the morning prayer service.
It's the last day of Passover in that particular year, and it was also a Sabbath service. So there was more people than normal, but I just had this feeling, you know, it's like unexplainable. So I normally sat in the front row because I can't hear very well from years of construction and the military and stuff. So I always sit in the front row, but this particular day I chose to sit in the back.
Lori Gilbert Kay was standing in the foyer, and she was greeting people who had come for services, and she was the first person who was targeted by the defendant. She ended up being shot twice, and behind her was the rabbi who just happened to be walking by. He was shot in the fingers and ended up having a portion of his finger amputated as a result.
I hear a familiar sound, unfortunately. I was in the military, I was in Iraq, and I thought to myself, who's shooting an M16?
The defendant then next turned to the banquet hall, which is just behind the foyer and to the right. And inside the banquet hall, there were a group of children who happened to be playing while the services were going on. In that room, Almog Peretz and his 8-year-old niece, Noya, were also hit. The defendant then turned to the prayer room, which is on the other side of the foyer to the left, and fired additional rounds into the prayer room.
And people were running out, trying to get out the door. My first instinct was to go with the crowd. So I run, I get to the door, the exit, and I just turn around at that point. Decide that I'm not gonna leave. So I go back, I go back towards the gunfire.
He ran into the foyer, ran actually past his wife and his stepdaughter, and started yelling at the defendant and screaming, doing whatever he could to distract him. He literally somehow managed to escape being shot at twice during the course of just a few seconds.
I'm about, say, 10, 15 feet from him, and I used another very forceful expletive. And at this point, he was trying to reload his magazine. I think I scared him because at this point he dropped the rifle to his side and he ran out the front door.
The defendant ended up, rather than reloading and firing additional rounds, ran back to his car where Oscar continued to chase him with a Border Patrol agent who happened to be present.
At this point, the guy tries to get away. We're between the Border Patrol agent and I, and then somebody else came out, I can't remember. We start taking down license plate numbers. At the point, I didn't have anything to write with, so we're trying to memorize it. So he pulls a quick U-turn, jumps up on the curb, probably damages his vehicle. He makes a right down Rancho Bernardo Road, and that's the last we see of him.
Without Oscar's intervention, more people, in my mind, absolutely would have died. I think the easy thing to do would have been to get your family and to run away to safety. But Oscar didn't do that. He risked his life to save every person in that Chabad.
It was very quick. Things happen in a flash, and you just react. You never know how you're going to react. And I like to say, maybe the next time this happens, God forbid, I'll do the same thing. But you never know what you're going to do. So I'm just glad that I had the wherewithal to do what I did.
To do that in the face of deadly danger is something that I think a lot of us don't have. And to do it in a way where he's so unassuming and without a second thought just did it because he knew that was the right thing to do, that's the ultimate level of courage.